Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up in our news tonight. F&M supporters in Grand Bahama are rolling red as the party outlines plans for that island. The Progressive Liberal Party leaders released the blueprint for governance. We take a look at how the Parliamentary Registration Department is working to ensure a safe election. Why more women should be investing, plus Imagine with Rev. We'll tell you how. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. It's Saturday, August 28th. I'm Giorgio Bain. Let's take a look at what's topping news tonight. Well, a fishing trip turned tragic this evening as two divers died moments after retrieving their catch. Family members on scene were inconsolable as they chased the two hearses and begged them not to take the men's bodies. A heartbreaking scene at the Montague Beach fishing ramp. Family members were in disbelief as the reality that the two divers had died hit home. As the hearses attempted to leave, family members banged on the hood, attempted to open the doors, and some even threw themselves in the way to prevent the cars from leaving. Press Liaison Officer Superintendent Audley Peters says the captain of the boat is working with police and provided brief information of what led to their tragic deaths today.
Our initial investigations into this matter suggest that a crew of 3 left on a fishing trip this morning around 9 a.m. and following their expedition on a particular drop, they would have caught a number of fish and came up onto the boat. As they were going to their next drop, one of the divers collapsed on board the boat. The captain then stopped the vessel and began to render first aid.
According to Peters, the captain said moments after the first diver displayed signs of distress, the second diver attempted to prevent himself from experiencing a similar fate. However, that attempt failed.
And the second diver realized that his colleague might have been suffering from what is known as the bends. He too then jumped overboard in an attempt to decompress his body. While the captain was rendering first aid to the first victim, he noticed that the second diver, while overboard, was floating. So he then stopped his assistance and retrieved that diver from the water and attempted to render first aid. However, he had to bring both victims to the dock here on Montague.
According to Peters, the deaths have yet to be classified, but police will continue to work with the boat captain throughout their investigations. Well, despite concerns over campaigning during a COVID-19 surge, the Free National Movement kicked off its first drive-through rally in the nation's second city last night. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis laid out plans to revitalize Grand Bahama as the party seeks to duplicate a sweep on that island come Election Day.
Let's roll with dog. He's a strong man, someone who will understand.
Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis dancing his way on stage, outlining plans to boost Grand Bahama's economy, including a home porting act and an expansion of the Grand Bahama shipyard.
Early in our next term, we are going to put in place the home porting act, similar to the Hotel Encouragement Act. You have already experienced more visitors from the cruise lines coming to Grand Bahama. The expansion of the Grand Bahama shipyard will begin as early. Listen to me now, listen to me. The expansion, that is work for you, will begin as early as October of this year.
One by one, Free National Movement candidates took the stage as the crowd blew their horns in the distance. F&M claimed a landslide victory in Grand Bahama for the 2017 general election. Marcos City incumbent Michael Pintard urged the crowd to give the party another chance despite its shortcomings.
That notwithstanding that we didn't get everything right, that sometimes we didn't move at the pace that you desired, we care about what happens to you going into the future and the future of your children. And that is why tonight we're asking you, despite the challenges that we have, despite some shortfalls we have experienced, let's do it again together.
Peace, Grand Bahama. We voting crazy. We voting crazy.
East End incumbent Kwesi Thompson reminded the crowd of the many challenges the F&M faced during the past 4 years, and now he says it's time for the victory lap.
Our leader, Dr. Minnis, he has been tested like no other. Listen, you know there's nothing like when you have been tested. There is nothing like when you've been gone through the fire. You can see who you really are when you have gone through the fire. And like people say, tough times never last. But people like Dr. Minnis will last.
West End and Bimini incumbent Pakeisha Parker Edgecombe urged the crowd not to believe the promises of opposing parties.
We are going to the polls and we are going to vote them out. Not because of the fact that we just want to go to the polls and vote them out, but because we have a record to demonstrate that we have worked for the last 4.5 years and that we will continue working to empower each and every one of our constituents.
The parties now race to the advanced polls on September 9th when the first votes will be cast for the 2021 general election.
Ooh, the F&M's been like, no way. Listen, when times were rough, they held it down. They brought relief to every town.
The Progressive Liberal Party holding its official candidates launch last evening with the introduction of the party's plans for governance. Party leader Philip Davis opening up about his plans to become the next prime minister.
Mr. Davis has always been there for me. Then I started my own business. I can call Mr. Davis at any time.
We had a major hurricane hit Cal Island, Hurricane Irene. The F&M offered us no assistance. I went to Mr. Davis as an F&M asking for assistance. He said, tell me what you need. He shows you that he cares because he knows the struggles.
He always here. He loved Cat Island. He loved Cat Island people.
All my life, I've been taking on huge, what people perceive to be insurmountable challenges, and I've been successful in resolving those problems. I think I have the experience, I have the commitment, and the will.
Deputy Leader Chester Cooper says his wish is to grant equal financial opportunities to all Bahamians.
I entered politics to fulfill an obligation, paying it forward for other young people to have the type of benefits that I've had in our Bahamas. I come from Forbes Hill, Little Exuma, an obscure little settlement on an obscure little island, and I've done very well in the Bahamas. I want other people to have the opportunities that I would have had.
My name is Keith Bell. I hope to represent the great constituency of Carmichael. I come from a very large family. I have 8 brothers and sisters. I got married at the age of 19. My wife Clara and I, we have 3 sons. I believe in family life.
Bamboo Town is home for me. I'm a constituent there. I was born there, I was raised there, and I'm still living there. So I know I have a keen idea of what I think would make Bamboo Town a better place for us all.
Because of my close-knit and my working with the youths in the community for so long, we want to be able to provide our youths with the necessary opportunities that can better their lives.
The hour-long video, now posted on the Progressive Liberal Party's Facebook page, gives an in-depth look at each political hopeful with many new faces and a few familiar ones.
What really made me change my mind was when there was a change in government and NHI was changed. I saw family members, friends who had to suffer through many debilitating diseases because of the change in NHI, where catastrophic care was ripped out. And I had to go through a lot personally, and I don't think that anybody else should have to go through that type of pain with a loved one. And I wanted to be a part of making that change to bring that back.
I believe in change. I believe in progress. I believe in nation building. I have a love for people, and I'm truly, truly passionate about young persons.
The party's plans are set out in the party's blueprint, now available on their website.
We make a commitment in our blueprint to continue this work to create a robust, long-term plan. And of course, the difference between a good plan and a great plan is execution. And we commit to the great execution of a great plan. At the heart of this blueprint is our economic plan, which we launched earlier this year. Our 10-point plan in this blueprint goes wider and sets out how we will more broadly empower Bahamians.
Well, as the 2021 general election draws closer, the question arises, can an event that will attract thousands of people to polling stations across the country be held safely during a COVID-19 pandemic that is showing no signs of slowing down? Well, officials are promising that the polls will be safe. Our Jasmine Brown explains in this report.
With the snap election taking place in just under a month, there are concerns about heading to the polls during the Bahamas' worst surge in COVID-19 cases. Election officials are seeking to downplay those fears, insisting the proper protocols will be in place to ensure the election is not a super spreader event. National Security Minister Marvin Dames has ministerial responsibility for the Parliamentary Registration Department.
We have prepared. We have been meeting on a regular basis to ensure that all of these polling areas are as safe as possible and people can move about and they can exercise their rights to vote without having any serious concerns about whether the environment is properly sanitized or not.
And Dames is not the only one defending the process. Acting Parliamentary Commissioner Lovato Dames made similar assurances.
The one thing the Parliamentary Registration Department will continue to do is adhere to the health and safety protocols that has been established, which includes the appropriate spacing, some 3 to 6 feet apart as it relates to the lines, the mandatory wearing of masks, the sanitization of hands, and there are ongoing discussions at this time with health officials, all in an effort to ensure that we are able to clearly communicate to the public all of the health and safety measures.
During its weekly press briefing, a top Pan American Health Organization official warned that elections increase the transmission of COVID-19. He also warned candidates to be extra cautious when campaigning and urged voters not to let their guard down on election day.
All of this is being looked at in regards as to how we're going to continue to conduct a kind of safe working environment for the Bahamian people, because really the election is more of a working environment. And it's an environment where the Bahamian people are going to have an opportunity to truly realize their established right in seeking to elect a government of the day.
Due to the pandemic, this election season will be like no other. The larger rallies and crowds, which have become synonymous with the campaign season, are not expected this season. Despite this, some FNM MPs say they are confident in the party's chances.
Yeah, very confident.
If you look at the record, I was just looking at what we've done just in my ministry. In 4 years, there's never, ever been an administration that matched what we've done in 4 years. Never.
Parliament was dissolved on August 19th, and the race is now on for candidates looking to be elected to Parliament. The advanced poll will be held on September 9th, while Election Day is September 16th. Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, still to come on our News Weekend, electrical workers frustrated that their issues have fallen on deaf ears. A water program ends on Grand Bahama and Abaco, plus a push for more women investors. That's coming up when our News Weekend returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Electrical workers are frustrated that their issues will not be dealt with within this legislative period. Bahamas Electrical Workers Union President Kyle Wilson tells our news that the union was frustrated that Parliament was dissolved before their issues were addressed. He says he feels it's inappropriate to go into an election while workers are discouraged.
I don't think it's wise of any government to go into an election when you have workers who are frustrated, who are angry, and who are not feeling relieved of their issues. So it would be wise of the government to sit down with the union, speak to them, be truthful. If there's no money there, work out issues and say what we could do down the road. Are you willing to accept this down that road, or can we work out something here, or whatever benefits? But just don't turn your back on the people.
Last week, scores of Bahamas Power and Light employees demonstrated outside the company's headquarters. At the time, BPL described it as an illegal industrial action. Workers complained of what they called poor working conditions on family islands and unfair promotions and hiring practices.
The talks are being held through conciliation through Dr. Ranford Patterson, and he is more or less trying to mediate between the parties. He has asked the union to turn down the, industrial action, or turn down the rhetoric until he's able to try and work something out. So we are optimistic that something can be worked out.
After 13 months of helping Grand Bahama and Abaco with improving their water quality when they needed it most, Israel Aid's water and sanitation hygiene program is coming to an end. The State of Israel and Israel Aid jumped into action immediately after Hurricane Dorian and began its sustainable groundwater management mechanism, which benefits 70,000 people on Grand Bahama and 18,000 people on Abaco.
They are the beneficiaries and the end users of the water produced on the island, and they have the full right to enjoy the access to the safe and clean water on the island.
We are saddened by the events that brought you here, but we're happy with the relationship that we had formed as a result and the ongoing partnership that we will continue to have, not just with the WASH program, but with the Sustainable Groundwater Program and the other initiatives that Israel Aid and GBUC continues to partner with.
After Hurricane Dorian in 2019, Grand Bahama's water supply was contaminated with salt water. Israel Aid, Grand Bahama Port Authority, and Water and Sewage Corporation partnered on the program, which is a long-term initiative aimed at keeping a portable water system on the two islands.
Sustainable groundwater management is a huge issue, but essentially it means meeting the demands for safe and reliable water supply today and into the future, and also preventing overpumping or saltwater intrusion. Ultimately, we want to improve sustainability and reliance of the aquifers that we have, and we want to be able to assess the impacts of future storms and other impacts on those aquifers.
Well, when our news weekend comes back from the break, what has Grand Bahama's Teachers Union singing praises, plus developing and fostering investment culture? That's coming up when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic. This is our news weekend. Welcome back. Well, students and teachers are being applauded for high marks on national exams. Grand Bahama's Area VP for the Bahamas Union of Teachers, Quentin LaRota, attributed the success to the contribution of the cooperation of teachers and parents working to help students, as well as the hybrid model of learning.
When those results came out in Grand Bahama, and I see the school got 14 A's in this and 9 A's and that, and the PGCSE and PJC results look so good here, I felt justified in the stance the union here took with the superintendent, Ivan Butler, and Dr. Bartlett, that we work together, and with the teachers, who put a great effort forward to work face to face, because the results have been tremendous.
LaRota says with school beginning virtually this year, we will have to wait and see if those results can be duplicated.
I'm very pleased with the results, and I was happy to celebrate with those teachers and those students that kind of success. And so we'll see how this year goes, but the online instruction, I think, is a good tool to complement face-to-face education. But obviously the face-to-face education is far better, and I think the result would be evidence towards proving that.
Well, more needs to be done in the Bahamas to develop an investment culture, according to Executive Director of the Access Accelerator Small Business Development Center, Davinia Bain.
In the Bahamas, we have to do a lot better job of developing a culture of investment. We don't have a very organized angel investing network in the Bahamas.
Bain says this is especially true when it comes to women investors.
Our goal today for our children is a little bit different. Yes, you want them to be educated, but you also want to make sure they have access to opportunities. So the mission of the Access Accelerator is to equip and tool and provide resources for Bahamian entrepreneurs, which includes educating them, but also giving them access. So for us, this concept of transcend in this forum is particularly connected to our overall mission, because that's what we do at the Access Accelerator. We help our entrepreneurs to transcend the economic environment of the generations before them.
Well, Rev invites you to imagine. The details when our News Weekend returns.
Welcome to our news, and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our News Weekend. Imagine being able to design your channel lineup to suit your entertainment desires. Rev is introducing Imagine, allowing customers to do just that. Rev product lead Mikkel Ferguson says for years customers have been asking for more choices and flexibility. Well, she says that time is now.
As opposed to having our channels in unrelated groupings, we've now grouped them into niche bundles. So for example, we have a kids package, we have news and science, we have lifestyle extra, we have a new and improved sports package, as well as we have a Rev Rhythms for persons that are interested in music. So just a cross section of content and genre-based packages to be able for our customers to pick and choose based on their entertainment interests.
So what does that mean for subscribers? Ferguson says, for one, it will remove the barrier for premium content and revamp the basic channel lineup for all subscribers.
Removing the barrier for premium content. So currently today, you would have to have Rev TV Pro in order to get any of our additional premium content. Say for example, if you wanted HBO or if you wanted Star Premium, you actually needed to have Rev TV Pro as a prerequisite. With this repackaging, we're removing that layer, and our most basic customers can actually get premium content at no extra charge.
6 low viewership channels will be removed and replaced from the basic package with 6 high viewership channels, including BET and Bounce. Rev customers will be free to Imagine with free preview all week beginning Sunday, August 29th through September 5th. Well, on behalf of the entire RTV team, we'd like to congratulate this week's winner of the True Bahamian Treasure Hunt. Well, thank you so much for joining us for our News Weekend. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Georgie O'Bain, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.